Okay, great. So can you talk a little bit about your major and what you did in college to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to the University of California, Los Angeles, and I majored in ecology, behavior, and evolution. I have known for a long time that I wanted to do something marine biology related, but I also didn't want to constrain myself to that. So I decided to go with ecology because it would allow me to take those interesting marine bio classes without kind of pigeonholing me into that. And a lot of what I did were pretty standard biology classes. They, of course, have a core curriculum with chemistry and physics as well. And my favorite class that I took was a biology of marine mammals class, which was a lot of morphology and a lot of anatomy, but very fun. And also part of my major at UCLA, we do a research quarter where you spend about 6 weeks in another country just doing field research, and it's really awesome. So, yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. So can you talk a little bit about like the field research that you mentioned?
Yeah, 100%. So, my research specifically, we spent about 6 weeks in French Polynesia looking at algae, especially algae that are really pervasive over coral, and kind of how to, you know, understand the way that they are affected by the various factors of the environment.
Oh, okay, I get it. So that's really interesting. So when you were in high school, what kinds of things kind of led you to want to study marine biology in general or like that more niche field?
Yeah, so although I did know before high school that I really loved marine bio, there are certain things that I definitely did, like Science Olympiad, which have uh, uh, specific events related to water quality, invasive species, that kind of thing. And that was very fun for me. Um, Besides that, a lot of what I did was talking to people who were in the field. For example, I had a mentor at the Natural Resources Defense Council who I worked with for a summer on marine mammal policy work. And that was really, really fun. And that kind of inspired me to keep pursuing it in college.
Yeah, that's cool. So can you talk a little bit about like the internship and what you did with the person at NRDC?
Yeah, so what my big focus was actually offshore wind and the way that um, building offshore wind turbines can impact marine mammals. And so what I was looking into were alternative methods of construction that would have less impact because obviously offshore wind is a good thing, but we don't want to like hurt the marine mammals while we do it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the idea.
Okay. So was it more kind of like on the ground or more kind of you did research and things like that? Like what was the nature of the internship?
Yeah, it was definitely closer to research. It was a lot of analyzing papers that have already been written and trying to compile the best known information on construction and looking into the various methods that are proposed and have already been implemented and seeing what are possible options for us in the US as well.
Oh, okay. That's really interesting. So did you find anything from that?
Well, definitely found some interesting types of construction that we had not considered in the US. So that was pretty exciting. We're not entirely sure if they are applicable, but it definitely helped give some sort of understanding and scope to the kind of projects that are possible.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, great. So kind of shifting away from that, going back to your high school experience, what were some challenges that you faced in pursuing marine biology or like anything you were interested in high school?
So, with any public high school experience, there are going to be constraints. There are specific classes you have to take, and you don't really have a choice about that. And marine biology is definitely not something that was offered in high school for me. So mostly I had to figure out what I wanted to do outside of school. That was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
In addition, it felt like very few people around me also had similar interests. So it was hard to find the right people to talk to within my high school, especially among teachers. who, although they were doing a great job, definitely did not really have experience in the field that I wanted to be in. So it took a little bit of outside research to really understand like these are the right people to talk to about this.
Yeah, for sure. So, in terms of like combating like those challenges, would you say like the main way you kind of went about doing that is reaching out to experts in the field like your mentor at NRDC and things like that?
Yeah, 100%. I felt that that was really the only way I would be able to talk to the right people. And I was very fortunate in that I had family friends who, although weren't doing exactly what I was interested in, like they knew people. So they were able to connect me. And then my mentor also connected me to more people who I could talk to. That was really helpful.
Yeah, so it seems like networking and kind of getting to know people is a really, really big part of being able to like pursue your interest, right?
100%. And I think that's the case for any field.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, what were some experiences that you had that helped you get to where you are, whether that was in college or like in high school? Like I know the internship obviously helped you a lot.
Yeah. One other big thing for me was in the summer of 2022, I worked at the Scripps Institute of Oceanography on a bioacoustics project regarding marine mammals. That kind of solidified for me, yeah, this is the field that I want to do. I absolutely love kind of being part of this kind of research. And uh, had worked on that project even after the summer a bit, and hoping to get that published. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big one for sure. Also, taking as many classes as possible in college that related to what I wanted to do. That was really important for me, like making sure I'm maximizing my marine bio, marine science classes so that I am taking advantage of the opportunities that UCLA had to offer.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of more internships here and there in within the realm of the field. So
Yeah, for sure. So, I know a lot of like high school students are interested in finding internships, like especially in stuff that they're interested in. So, could you talk a little bit about kind of like what you did to land these internships? Like, did you just cold email people, or did you already know them, or like how'd you kind of get in?
yeah, so like I mentioned before, networking is 100% something that you have to be ready to do no matter what. The ones that I did find, they did have postings online, and so being proactive about checking the like nonprofits or research labs or companies that you want to work for, and making sure that you're staying up to date with the kinds of internships and postings that they have available is really helpful. That's kind of what can help get you a foot in the door, just making sure that you're on top of everything. And definitely knowing people helps. One of the internships I got was with Wildlife Conservation Society, and I had originally interviewed him a while back for a project, and he was able to offer me an internship position. So that kind of thing is always going to be important.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you've given a lot of really helpful advice already. So just kind of to wrap up, what would be some advice or tips that you have for high school students who want to pursue kind of more niche fields that might not be that accessible in their school, or they might not have as many like peers who are also interested in it or things like that?
Yeah, the internet is an amazing place. Obviously, not everything is super accessible for everyone, but it does allow you the opportunity to reach out to people that you may not have been able to reach out to without it. Cold emailing, you have to be really persistent about it, but making sure that you're doing that and reaching out to people who you know are doing the kinds of things you'd be interested in. You'd be surprised just how willing people are to talk about the work that they do, because for the most part, they're really passionate about it. So they are always happy to set up, a call like this or a coffee chat, anything like that, just to, give you a kind of sense of the kinds of things that they work on and, gauge your interest, tell you how they got into the things that they got into. And
Yeah.
that can be really helpful at next steps.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think that this talk was really, really helpful. It gave me personally a lot of advice on how to move forward and kind of pursue internships and things like these in these more like nuanced fields. So thank you for agreeing to talk with me.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for having me.